same brother who had seen him through Mfantsipim, and the latter's eldest son, the late Pat Quarmyne. After being feted by family and friends, Alex reported to GBC the following morning. After a brief meeting with Director General Bill Coleman, he was taken to the new TV section, where he met with Frank Goodship and the technical specialist on the Canadian team, Wes Harvison. Alex was taken around the new training facilities and put in charge of production training. He recalls, "I felt completely up to the responsibility. It very much fell in line with the training I had had myself at USC. With his technical bent and background, Alex was also asked to assist with the decisions and arrangements around the construction of the building and procurement of the equipment for the TV station. Shortly after, he was appointed as deputy director, with Shirley Du Bois as director."
The late Osajifo was the spirit and motivator behind the establishment of GTV. In the period from Alex's return in September 1963 to the launch of GTV in July 1965, he met President Kwame Nkrumah twice. The first time was when he was introduced to the late president, at the end of which he was asked to stay behind for a brief tete-a-tete and given a few words of personal advice by the Osajifo. The second time was when he received his first paycheck from President Nkrumah himself. The establishment of GTV was a feat by all concerned, and Alex, of course, fondly recalls its inauguration by the Osajifo. Thereafter followed the exhilarating months of actually operating the TV station as a beacon of Ghanaian culture, prowess, and ambition. Alex had no inkling that just 7 months later, in February, there would be a coup. It was at this time that he assumed the role of director of GTV, the first African in the role.
Shortly thereafter, UNESCO requested that Alex be seconded to conduct the first study of the state of broadcasting across Africa, together with the late Cameroonian broadcasting specialist Francis Bebe. He returned to GTV after that, but it was not long before UNESCO offered him another assignment, this time to help set up the broadcasting department at the newly established Institute of Mass Communication at the University of the Philippines. He was appointed as Professor of Mass Communication by the President of the University, the late Carlos Romulo, a renowned figure in academia and diplomacy. It was in the Philippines that he met our mother, Wilna Quarmyne, his wife of over 50 years. She was a broadcaster herself and was managing Radio DZJO, a rural community radio station she had helped establish. They met through one of Alex's students, Carlos Choi Arnaldo, whose master's research involved Radio DZJO. After his time at the University of the Philippines, Alex Quarmyne led a team of international specialists, British, Canadian, German, on a UNESCO project that culminated in the establishment of the television department of the Indian Film and Television Institute. On the conclusion of that project, he was made the first UNESCO Regional Communication Advisor for Africa and was instrumental in many landmark communication initiatives, such as the URTNA Program Exchange Center, the Southeast Africa News Exchange Development Agency, and the African Council on Communication Exchange. From bases in Kenya and Zimbabwe, he worked across the entire African continent, always with a focus on capacity building and broadcasting for education and development.
Throughout his years away, Alex remained steadfast in his commitment to his beloved country. On his retirement from UNESCO after 26 years, he returned home and with his wife, Wilna Quarmyne, established the pioneer community radio station Radio Ada, which became one of the founding members of the Ghana Community Radio Network. He continued to work as a communications consultant in various capacities, contributing his vast experience and knowledge to improve the lives of communities in Ghana, across the continent, and across the globe. Now, even in his 95th year, Alex Teye Quarmyne remains an inspiration, always and without fail continuing his commitment to use broadcasting and communication for the greater good.
Professor Alex Teye Quarmyne, Daddy. On this, your 95th birthday, we say thank you for your numerous contributions to broadcasting, and we say Ayako.
Thank you so much for those words. I feel like I've had an intimate education on the life of Professor Quarmyne, knowing that before he became Daddy Radio, he was just Daddy. So congratulations once again. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we've assembled a panel of men and women who know Professor Quarmyne and the work that he's done. And they'll be sharing some of the most iconic moments of his career with us. Remember, you're watching us live on GTV and on GBC News. From Broadcasting House in Accra, it's BH3. We are celebrating a man who knew Broadcasting House when it was BH1. We'll take a break. When we return, Professor Quarmyne at 95 continues.
Hi, this is GBC Client Service.
Hello.
Welcome back to this live broadcast celebrating 95 years of the life of Professor Alex Quarmyne, who was the first Ghanaian director of television at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Today, the corporation, in partnership with those who worked more closely with him from different walks of life, we've gathered here in his honor just to say happy birthday and to remember the giant footprints that he left in the industry. If you missed the first part of the program, you will be interested in this second part because a panel has taken a seat to reminisce what they remember most about Professor Alex Teye Quarmyne. And at that panel, I have some icons and legends I'm very honored to introduce. Our studio audience, you've been amazing so far, and I'll urge you all to give yourselves a very big round of applause. With your permission, Professor Quarmyne, and your lovely wife, Mrs. Wilma, DG, and the boss at the National Media Commission, Mr. Ayebafo, I would like to introduce the members at the panel right now. We know many of these people, the names and the positions that they occupy. So I'll keep it very crisp and simple so that we get to know the man for whom we are seated here to celebrate. Mr. Koansa is a prolific filmmaker, and he is our first guest on the panel today. Mr. Ansa, thank you so much for making time.
He's coming. Yeah, you'll come back in a minute.
I'll also welcome Mrs. Samilia Kanj, who is a pioneer newscaster, someone who did the work that I'm doing now in the very early days of what was a professional newscasting career. Mrs. Samilia, thank you so much for making time to join us today. Next to her, Mr. Kwesi Garte Tego, representing the late Mr. David Garte Tego. He is a broadcast journalist and executive director, Radio Peace at Winneba. Mr. Garte Tego, thank you for joining us. Mr. Martin Lowe is a former director at the National Film and Television Institute, NAFTI. He's also on the panel today. Mr. Lowe, thank you for making the time. And of course, Professor Kwame Kakari, he is a Ghanaian academic and a professor of journalism and mass communication. Professor Kakari, thank you for joining us. We want to understand the fabric of the man known as Professor Alex Teye Quarmyne. For those of us who are millennials and the Gen Zs that followed and the Generation Alpha and all the others that came up until now, it's hard to imagine a world without social media, because that's what we've grown accustomed to. We wake up in the morning and we grab our phones, we check on the latest news and updates. But at the time that a Ghanaian assumed position as the first Ghanaian director of television, that was not the case. In fact, if you needed to catch up on the news, you probably had to grab a newspaper or listen to the radio. What do you remember about the man that Professor Alex Quarmyne was? Ladies first, so indulge me as I welcome initial remarks perhaps from Mrs. Kant.
My journey with this wonderful man, Mr. Alex Quarmyne. We first met at the GBC flat, the block of flat at Kanda. He lived there with his family, his late wife, Shirley, and their daughter, Cheryl. And my husband and I, Mr. Kanj, was then working with the external service, the Arabic section of the external service, and I was in radio. Then we were introduced to Tony Babalo, who came down to set up the transmitters at Ajankote. And I remember how Mr. Quarmyne will have us drive with him over there. We went to check on the transmitters, and we will be entertained by Tony's wife, because he was there alone. Ajankote was then in the bush, and we didn't want him to get depressed, so we were going up and down to visit him. Then Ajankote was finished, everything, the transmitters were set up. Our television studios were finished. Alex was going to work up and down. Everything was completed. The studios were completed. And so some of us, the announcers and producers, were transferred to the television section. Then came Guship and his team of technicians, and they trained the technicians. That's as far as I can remember. But Mr. Alex Quarmyne was solely responsible for training the producers. And he trained some very, very good producers. Some of them, two are here, Martin Lowe, George Peters, Edward Fachi, Bampo Ado, and a few others. We were also trained, the announcers, all the newsreaders announcers, by a Canadian called Pierre. I don't remember the last name. I thought it was something else. Anyway, so there we were, all ready. We had our test transmissions. Everything was in order, and we had to go on the air. Come the D-Day, I was chosen to be on duty. I was scheduled to be there, and I'm sitting there watching the clock tick. The countdown, then I remember this very well, and cue. And I came on with a smile to say, "Good evening, viewers. This is the television service of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation." That's it. And TV was launched. Yeah, that's how it started. I went on, of course, to announce the lineup of programs for the evening. We were so happy. All of us, technicians and announcers and panel staff, everybody. I ran out and we were all jubilating. I think Mr. Alex was watching how we'll do at home, and he was very happy with us. Everything went, no mistake. Everything was fine. So I want to remember some of the announcers that I worked with at the time. There was Lily Whitaker. She's passed. A few of our colleagues are gone. And Clarissa Odoe, I don't know where she is now. Alvira Tando. I think Catherine Boachi-Dankwa, I remember that name. And would you believe it? Obechebi Lamte, our former minister, was with us as an announcer. With his English Blofo accent. He enjoyed it. And then we had the newsreaders, John Hammond, Kwame Amamu. They are gone. I was just asking of Robert Owusu. I told Wena that he must be around. I heard he just passed last week. And Gate Tego, all of them gone, unfortunately, all have passed. But these are the ace news readers we had. At the beginning, as usual, discrimination by the men. They didn't want the women to read the news. Women were given children's program and the women's program, and that's what we did. Eventually, we were allowed to read the news. Fast forward comes the coup. Alex had then moved out of the flat, but we were surrounded by a lot of the security officers for Kwame Nkrumah. I didn't even know it then, but there was so much shooting. And when it died down, we ran out. Where did we end up? In Alex's house. And there were so many people, not only us. What kind of money did we were running away from death, and everybody came to his house like it's a haven to be saved. They took care of us, and everything went on fine. Then, I think for 2 days, there was no transmission. And then we were ordered to go back to work. So we came to GBC, and we were asked to park our cars outside. Then we walked in with the soldiers, and their guns trained at us. And we walked through a narrow corridor to the studios. It was nerve-wracking to come to work and go through that every day and live like that. But eventually they left. and things went back to normal. I don't want to take much time. And soon, Mr. Quarmyne decided he'd had enough of us and left Ghana and went. Well, we followed his news. His brother used to tell us, and we heard of his first wife's passing. And later on, we were told that he had remarried. So we were all hoping to see him with his wife. And then he comes and introduces us to his beautiful wife, Wilna, and his lovely children, Nyani and Leona, whom you've met. I loved them immediately, and they've been my family ever since. Alex? Here, let me say, Wilna, a big thank you for being the pillar behind Alex. We know the great things you are doing, and especially now. You're so committed to Alex, and you are doing wonderfully, wonderfully for him. We love you, and we say thank you. Alex, you are a good man inside and out. You are a very genuine friend. That's why we all love you. That's why you will forever be in our minds and our hearts. God bless you, and a very happy birthday.
Touching words there, bringing loads of memories. It's special when you work with a team that become family. And sometimes the bonds that you create at work, because we end up spending a lot of time here, tend to be some very important bonds indeed. Thank you, Amsamelia, for those words. Professor Alex Quarmyne has always been very passionate about community radio and the use of the local language in particular. It's easy to feign intelligence or hide behind a proficiency in the English language to pretend to be intelligent. And I've heard someone say we should not use English as a mark for people's intelligence. So organizations like the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation and the mandate imposed upon us by law have that Herculean task of making sure that not a single one of our local languages dies, and that when people turn on their community radios, they can hear, they can be communicated to in a language that is theirs, in a language that they can understand and relate to. And that's the work that our father, whom we are celebrating today, pioneered all his life. Perhaps at this time, I'll ask the director, Radio Peace Winneba, to share his thoughts, the executive director, Radio Peace Winneba. Share with us how important community radio is. Was it that powerful a tool then? And how has it changed now in 2024?
Sorry, I lost my voice, so I'll try and manage. Before I come to that, let me indicate that I'm only here representing my father, David Gatti Tego, who was also present at the time of inauguration. And I'm sure that for his role at GBC gives me the benefit to be sitting here. So I wouldn't know exactly what he would have said about Professor Quarmyne, but what I do know is that they've been friends from school, from Vance Film School, and they all ended up at GBC and at GTV, and they ended up with UNESCO, and they all retired, came back, and started community radio in their respective communities. So for me, before still I come to your question, what I know is that Professor Quarmyne was the director for TV, and so much had gone on at the time. My understanding was this, that GBC was so precise. I'm sure they still are, but one reference in terms of news reading, my understanding is that at the time, all words written in a bulletin should have a specific timeline. So if, for instance, if you had 60 words on the paper, you shouldn't go beyond 5 minutes. And therefore, if you had 120 words, it should be about 10 minutes. So there was this time, I don't know who took that decision, but being the director of TV, I don't know, but my father's name is David Gatti Tego. He was told that the name was too long, and therefore he needed to cut down the name. He was given the option to either drop David or drop Gatti, but the surname was Gatti Tego. So then the long syllable name had to be reduced to about 4. So he cut off David and remained with Gatti Tego. So he read the news and end up by saying, Gatti Tego for Ghana Television News. You know, but later, the interesting part of the story is, I don't know what happened later, but then we had Vida Quarmyne Asante, which was such a long name. So I guess that maybe things were changing at that particular time. So, yeah. But, you know, as I indicated, Professor Quarmyne came home and was passionate about community radio. The same way David Gatti Tego was also passionate about community radio. In the beginnings, I mean, they wanted to define what community really is. And to be sure that if you wanted to do community radio, you followed a certain criteria, so that it isn't a question of just starting a radio because it's in a very remote area or in a village, you say it's a community radio. Today, if you look through the NCA in terms of their categorization of radio stations, we have so many community radios. And I've had the opportunity to do what we call scoping in terms of looking for true community radios. It's interesting to go to some radio stations and to discover that they are registered as, let's say, limited by guarantee, but the workers do not know that they are community radios. They think all radio is radio. You know, so there's that discrepancy in terms of understanding what community radio is. But through the effort of the beginners of community radio, we've been able to define it such that we've been able to isolate true community radio from the other up-and-coming radios that think they're community radios. Yeah, probably I'll end here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kwesi. Former Director of NAFTI, Mr. Martin Lowe, will take your comments next on what you remember about Professor Alex Quarmyne.
I wish to stand. Can I stand? The lighting allows me to stand?
Do that. You can do that.
Thank you very much. I entered this studio this afternoon with a lot of nostalgia. You know, when I walked in and I saw the floor, it's still the same. I looked around, and so I stopped for a while and said, thank you, Jesus. It has been a very long journey. We were very young people at the time, and were selected to come to television, to start television in Ghana. We reported. At that time, the studio was not just under construction, and we had the wooden blocks there, which were between the studio and the engineering training school. I don't know whether they're still there. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's where the training school was. Yeah, so that's where our classroom was. And so our teacher was, well, he taught us that we should, it's too long to say David Gatti Tego. You know, in this profession, the custom and the tradition is that you go for the first name because it makes work very easy and relationship quite comfortable. So right from the beginning, we call him Alex. So if I call him Alex, it's not out of discourtesy, but that is what the tradition is, and he taught us. So we came, and Alex was our trainer. You know, he took us through all the rudiments of television production, and we ended up producing a lot of exercise ourselves. But I must say that Alex is a disciplinarian. He, right from the beginning, he told us that this profession, you need discipline. So if you want to pursue it, you must be disciplined. And that was good for us. And so when we started the practical exercise, production exercises, remember very much, I think George Peters remember that, one of our colleagues would not meet the schedule for production, and he told a lie. Yes, and at that time, Pierre Caston Gate had come, and, you know, let's say, Pierre, they took him to Kukumlemle where he said he had to do his work, which he couldn't complete his work. He took him straight to Kukumlemle and found that it wasn't true. And so that was the beginning of something for us to understand, that this profession, you have to give your all in all to it. We were 10 in the class. Yes. The other ones had just finished their first one. Yes. 12. Yes, okay. Yes, okay. And unfortunately, only 2 of us are left now, 3. Yeah. We had a total of 20 producer directors in the beginning who trained here and went to Canada, other places to train. Alex took us through the rudiments of television production. And after 6 months, we had to go and train in Canada. And at the end of it, George and I were asked again to go to Rome, Rye, because it was discovered that they were doing some wonderful work in adult education, aged people. So we had to go there and do some studies. By the time we came back, all our colleagues were back and had started, were helping training those who have been recruited as assistants, civil assistants and coordinators and things like that. We joined in training them. And we ourselves had to get ready for the inauguration of Ghana Television. Just as we were getting close, no, before then, just as we were training, we started test transmission. Then we were told that there was going to be the inauguration of Akosombo Dam, and the president would want us to cover it. And it was a difficult thing outside broadcasting. Those who know Akosombo will know that it was in the valley, and TV signals travel in straight line. So you should be able to manage to get the signal from there straight into Ajankote, where the transmission station was. That was one big test for us, you know. Luckily, we did it, and we came up very well. And we got the applause of Sergio himself, who applauded us for it. And the inauguration of television itself was something for us. We started producing our programs in readiness for the commencement of television. We wanted to can as much as possible programs that, because the principle was that we were not going to show Obroni films. They were going to be African films. And so all the production had to be produced by us with few supplementary films from other places, which they had to approve because we had to be African. And then 2 weeks to the opening of the station, as we were canning our films, the productions, our VTR collapsed. And so we couldn't record programs for 2 weeks. And we were all desperate. We're young, you know, and vibrant, anxious to work. But we managed to organize ourselves, and when the VTR worked, for 1 week before the inauguration, we did all our production as much as possible to fill airtime. And we had to work extra time, day and night. Alex will tell you that it's discipline, hard work, you must do it. And we did it. And the inauguration day itself was something that I will not forget, because that day, Miss Marie, the head of programs, asked me to be the coordinating director for the night. And my colleague, late Quarmyne Taylor, he was in Studio 2 control room, because the event took place in Studio 2. Osajibo was expected to press the button there to inaugurate television. And it was a nerve-wracking experience, because that thing is symbolic. You know, you could miss it. And there was no timing for it. And so Mr. Taylor, Quarmyne Taylor, and I had to go on an intercom, you know, waiting for a decision the moment that such would want to press the button. He came to the studio, he explained the studio. There was no way that you could determine that this is the time he was going to do it and how he was going to do it. And so it was nerve-wracking. We couldn't miss that shot. That shot, the most important in the history of GTV. And eventually, you know, Mr. Taylor ordered that I should take it, you know, and we took it. And we started applauding ourselves at that moment. And it was I wouldn't forget that experience. It was. Because with Osajibo, you have to be precise. Right, you know, and we continued. Then, just 2 months after our inauguration, the OAU meeting was going to be held in Accra. OAU. It was a big, very big project. And as usual, Osajibo came and told us that he had been traveling around Africa. He has seen many countries. He had never seen black African television camera crew. And he had not seen local productions in those countries. So we show his brothers that African can do everything themselves also. You see, this inspired us. And the order was that we're going to produce as many programs as possible and put television channels, television sets down this job 600 from the residence of the presidents all the way to a conference. And we're showing from that every moment, every step they took, they would see that black people are on television. And it was very exciting. In fact, we virtually slept there. You know, we just slept. We had only 3 hours or so or 4 to go home and clean up and come back, because you have to report back before 8:30 in the morning when the conference will start, and you have to be on the air. It was an experience. But see, the one thing that happened on television at that time was that Professor Alex and his colleagues would call you a day after a production and talk to you. If you did an excellent job, Alex would say, Martin, that was very good, that kind of thing. And then you are there, and then the head of program, Miss Marie, will send a note to speak. And you will go, and you are nervous to go and see her also. And if the program is good, your recommendation is not good, Alex will not forgive you. None of them will forgive you. And Frank Goshevi was very sly. He would have he has a wry smile. He would look at you and shake his head. You know that you are in trouble. But what motivated us most was that they were all very friendly. They worked as if they were just one of us, the young people were running around doing the productions. The commendation was very good. The relationship was very good. You know, what George and I were talking about, one of our happiest moments in working life was those days. We had not met any situation like that throughout our working time, because the staff themselves, the relationship was very, very good, very good. It was friendship. You missed coming to the studio, and when you are doing your production, your colleague is directing program, you want to come and sit with her and make sure that things worked right. So those are the moments that we did. So we made sure that Africa saw African television. And Alex was our director, and we applaud you. I want to applaud you again today for this. Now, in the little presentation that we're going to make, we talked about Alex, that the light he lit in Ghana television will continue to glow all over the world. And indeed, you know, when you watch any professional television station in Ghana today, you could see that either the producers or the staff worked in GBC before, retired working on GBC, or hopped out to work somewhere else. You could see it. And that same light. You see, GBC is the mother of NAFTI, the National Performance Television Institute. So the same light from here, we carry to NAFTI. You know, when NAFTI started, about 90% of the staff were drawn from GBC. So, and then we also imparted knowledge to others who came from all parts of the world. You know, in Africa, we had students from Nigeria, Cameroon, Senegal, you know, Southern Africa, South Africa, Namibia, Swaziland, what is it, Mugabe's country? Zimbabwe, Uganda, Kenya, and you know, and Ethiopia and all. So they all came to study at NAFTI. So the light that we carried from GTV went to continue to be a light for Africa. So it was that was what Alex did. And not only in Africa, NAFTI itself, you know, turned to the world. You know, when NAFTI was admitted into the International Associations of Film Schools and Universities teaching film and television, Select made us also to run workshops in many parts of the world. In the USA, in Brazil, in Mexico, in Denmark, in Germany, in Czechoslovakia, I think Czech Republic now, eh? Yeah. You know, so NAFTI ran training courses in all these countries. So we carry also the light from Africa to the world. And in fact,
Right.
and I must tell that the University of Southern California, we did a workshop for them. You know, a Cameroonian professor working there came to the FESPACO, the Pan-African Film Festival in Ouagadougou, and stopped over here and saw the work we're doing and invited us to do a workshop on African film and television for them. So we did it. So just a moment, please allow me a little bit, 5 minutes, 2 minutes more, because I have to extol Alex very much because, yes, okay, my own life and the life of many had been tied to him, and the expertise and the discipline were from him. So we have done all that, and so that's what he has done. And many more that I could have said. If it were GTV day, I would have spent more time talking about it, but it's not GTV day, so I will leave it for now. But to say it again, that Alex has been a tremendous support for us. He gave us knowledge. He gave us what it takes to be a television producer, director, the discipline and everything of it, the culture of it. We carried on, and we developed with it, and we grew with it, and we also imparted it. I have here my colleague, one of the pioneer trainees, Mr. George Peters, is here. He controlled JTV and rose the rank of Deputy Director Television. Yeah. Yes, and I, yes, and I controlled NAFTI as the rector of NAFTI. Thank you. Yes, so I finished. So, Alex.
I feel you have enough
information
about Mr. Professor Quarmyne to write a book.
Yes, I've. Oh, in actual fact, I should really.
You should really. You
yes,
should really.
And so we are grateful to you for all that you have done, the life they've given to us, and many more, and millions all over this world. Enjoy yourself on your day. Happy birthday.
Mr. Martin Lowe is a former director at NAFTI. Here we are reminiscing an epochal era in Ghanaian broadcasting and the role, the crucial contributions of Professor Alex Quarmyne. Next, I'll invite Ghanaian prolific filmmaker, producer, editor, writer, Mr. Koansa, to also share his memories of Professor Quarmyne.
In a country where values like selflessness, patriotism, and integrity is becoming very scarce, and where we find public servants who are not very kind and not very competent being posted in various places just to serve the interest of their sponsors. I mean, if the situation had existed when Ghana television or broadcasting started, you couldn't have had good basis to start. We were all young at that time. I remember Uncle Alex, who was a much senior. Of course, he was also a classmate of a beloved cousin called Abam. And I had love brewed in the African port in Zimbabwe, Kenya, and other places. And then Heritage. I saw Uncle Alex and Auntie Wilna at the premiere of Heritage Africa. And we spoke a bit about secondary life, and of course, Uncle Alex cannot deny that his afro was inspired from secondary. And soon after, I had a letter to come and run a production workshop in Zimbabwe, Harare. Uncle Alex had then joined the UNESCO as a technical director. And when I received that letter, I felt the unthinkable had happened. Because here was an area where people came and lectured Africans about film production. Why lecture? Because if there is one tool, to me, that has been used to dehumanize the African race, it's the audiovisual media. We didn't need lectures. So when Uncle Alex invited me to go and run a workshop, I felt people there would like to master the tool that had been used to dehumanize us. I traveled to Harare. When I got there, the groundwork had been prepared. We started, and there was this gentleman from Denmark who was supposed to be a co-producer. He called me aside and said, "I see you are preparing to run a workshop, not to talk about a workshop." I said, I've not been trained to talk about workshop because I'm not an academic. I went through apprenticeship to be here. And this tool, gentlemen, you're trying to tell me to do something I cannot do. What I can do is work with these young people to be able to make a film, to tell their own story. I went to Uncle Alex. So, Uncle Alex, who is this gentleman who is telling me I cannot have a practical workshop? He said, "Uncle Cole, that's why you are here." So we went through adapting a story into screenplay, broke it down, went into the production process. And as a matter of fact, you could see people's spirit being uplifted. And I must say, it was also due to the preparation Uncle Alex, because he knew he was trying to break a ground, something that they would not want us to do. Uncle Alex was behind me. Uncle Alex was behind me. And after the production, when the students and the participants of this workshop came and saw that they have been able to make a film, tell their own story, I mean, you could see the happiness in that room. There's a revolution in Zimbabwe. And who calls up? Uncle Alex. Uncle Alex. And he's one of the few gentle giants, very witty papa who talks sense. He doesn't just write sense, he talks sense and walks sense. And I became very much attached to Uncle Alex. So when I had TV Africa coming, I said, who can I appoint to be part of my board other than Uncle Alex? So I went to Uncle Alex, and of course, when you get to the house of Uncle Alex, as they say, a man is only effective when she has a very powerful woman behind her. The way until we now welcome you into the house. Uncle Kwa! Makes you feel very much at home.
Yes.
I mean, I would not call Auntie Wilna a Filipina. She is a Ghanaian. Yes. She inspired when Uncle Alex is organizing an event. Here is Auntie Wilna right at the forefront of it, you know. And I mean, I have been happy. I have been happy and been privileged, I must say, to associate myself with Uncle Alex, I must proudly say, and of course, her best half, Auntie Wilna. Uncle Alex, I'm sure what you've done has inspired a number of people. I mean, there is a guy sitting right behind you, one of our guys. You remember the first emperor of GBC? The first Ghana emperor of GBC. And if you remember, I'm sure Uncle Alex also knows, there was a place called Cassava Farm.
That's what, yes.
In Takoradi. Cassava Farm. You know, we'll follow these seamen, American seamen, who go to, we had our collar, you know, tied up here, and we walked from Sekendi all the way to Takoradi just to enjoy the slangs of the American people. And we said, I got a she, man. You come out and you are an American. You know, I got a she, man. And you could see Uncle Mike with his handkerchief at the back of the head, yes. You know, with a slanted shoulder. And Uncle Alex, only to grow up to understand the agala she, man. I've got to get to the ship. And once you can say agala she, man, you've arrived. Uncle Alex, we've arrived in a situation where we have to celebrate you.
Yes, yes.
I mean, we're not going to wait for you to go before we celebrate you.
No.
And I mean, you have been able to influence great broadcasters like Uncle Mike Egan. Yes, Uncle George Peters around you. I could see a number of great people that we have met to share ideas and to be where we are today. The Director General of GBC, I do hope that this house, which has influenced all of us, I couldn't have started TV Africa without the support, the technical, whatever, of GBC. And I am happy we've got a very competent Director General now who is passionate about doing the right thing. We want more of relevant African produce. So please, with your strength and mission, help us build a stronger Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, as was pioneered by Uncle Alex, the Gatetegos, John Hammonds, the Emilia, Cromwells, and you name it, because it's all we have. It's our story, not other people's story, not Mexican speaking Chi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Uncle, thank you.
I think that with your vast experience, if I dare say, it should be quite easy for you to pen something that will tell GBC's story, highlighting the remarkable contributions of persons like Professor Alex Quarmyne. Perhaps that should be a project you would like to work on?
Oh, yes. I still remember the Villa Cacalikas and the Americans, you know.
There are many stories that need to be told so that today's generation will understand how far we've come and how hard people have fought for us to get here. And stories like Professor Quarmyne's one need to be told. Thank you for sharing those memories with us. Next, we'll hear the thoughts of a gentleman who has been Director General of the GBC before, and he is a Professor of Journalism and Mass Communication. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Professor Kwame Kakari.
Thank you very much. When Kwawansa was making his contribution, he started by talking about integrity. I am quite privileged. It's a privilege and an honor to know and work with Alex. First of all, when you meet Alex, when you encounter him in any situation, for me, the most impressive thing is humility. And it reminds you profoundly of the saying, Ahnipankasa. That is, good beats don't make noise. And this is a great man, and I suppose that's why he's so humble. His humility translates into how he teaches you things you want to know without him behaving like a teacher. Alex's contributions are so profound that I think we should congratulate the initiators of this forum. The first time I met with Alex was at the School of Communication Studies in Legon. I was a lecturer then, and the head was the late inimitable Professor P.A.V. Ansa. Alex had come to visit him, and this is where Alex's contribution to broadcasting ought to be doubly acknowledged. He came to visit the school on a project of rural communication, helping the school through UNESCO to establish a rural communication project that involved producing rural newspapers as well as rural radio programs with the students and embedding the students in the rural communities. It was a very profound program. But later I found out that, for those of us here who've been in academia, I found out that that was an extension of work that Alex had been involved in UNESCO. You remember that in the 70s, 80s, UNESCO was very much interested in and promoting what has come to be called development communication, and especially rural communication and so on. So Alex, I learned, had been quite influential within UNESCO circles in this whole area. And when he came here to support the school, to get students, academics involved in that, I found that this man is really, his broadcasting is of a relevance. Then again, when Alex retired from UNESCO and came back to Ghana, and Alex and Wilna started work with community radio. We've been working together not only on community radio, but Alex and Wilna have been involved also, if you all remember, in efforts at promoting broadcasting legislation in this country. And so many activities in the development of media and broadcasting in this Fourth Republic. Radio Ada has been quite a model. And Audrey here and some of us have been sending students there quite often to understudy what is going on. We become family. And as I started by saying, Alex doesn't talk too much. This is a broadcaster who doesn't talk too much. And yet makes such profound impact on you if you work with him and if you do anything with him. He respects you, and therefore you have no alternative but to also respect this man. And of course, Wilna has said many things. Wilna makes you feel like you are really a part of that family. So, Alex, I think we want to thank you very much for all the major contributions, big and small, that you have made. You've touched so many lives. You've touched... our hostess started asking about what was communication like when there was no social media. Yes. I can tell you that if you've worked in GBC here, in those days under the military regime, when I came here in 1982, there was only one studio camera in GBC. And that studio camera had sellotape all around it because it was falling apart. There weren't so many such lights here. If you went into the radio studios, many microphones were taped together. And sometimes you wondered whether or not when the people spoke, they would go through the microphones. So we've come a long way. But to answer your question, if you were a politician or an ex-politician, you had to listen to 1 o'clock news. You had to listen to 1 o'clock news. And if you were Director General, there's so much pressure on you. Under military government, there's so much pressure on you. You see, because when the people make a coup d'etat, they have no idea about the structure in GBC. Indeed, my experience tells me that they think that the news readers, like our elder sister here, are the people in charge of broadcasting. That's the perception they have. So when you become Director General here, the pressure on you, I'll tell you a story. One time, there had been 1 o'clock news, and I was having a meeting with some of the directors, so I didn't listen to the news. And a very top security person at that time calls me right in the middle of the news. Take that story off, take that story off. So I was wondering what kind of story do they say I should take off? So the fellow called me again, and I said, oh, but it's gone already. How do I take it off? But anyway, they are extolling the time with Kwame Nkrumah and how he was encouraging them and so on and so forth. From all the things we are saying about Alex and broadcasting, what I found in GBC, in the midst of all that confusion, was solid professionalism, solid discipline that Martin was talking about. Mr. Usu Prempe and others, and so on. You dare not miss a step. And that is thanks to the foundation that people like Alex and others, built here. So, Alex, once again, we thank you very much. And I think we thank also the Director General for helping us to make this story known to Ghanaians and younger broadcasters. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much for sharing those memories with us. It's sometimes hard to imagine what all of you would have had to face and overcome at the beginning of your careers in broadcasting. Because someone like me, I came to meet a very different GBC, different from the one that you all contributed to. And sometimes it's easy to take it for granted that a lot of work has gone on for us, this generation, this time of presenters, to be where we are today. And we stand in very, very big shoes when we attempt to do this work just right. And I'm so happy hearing from all of you the love that you have towards Professor Quarmyne. I took some key points from all your presentations: humility, competence, solid professionalism, and discipline. Those are words that have been used to describe you, Prof. And we are honored to be in your presence today as you celebrate your 95th birthday. We are celebrating the life of one of Ghana's finest, the first African director of television of Ghana Television, and he's celebrating his 95th birthday. We're all here to celebrate what he has done and what he has achieved for Ghana and the GBC at large. You've heard from the people who have known him, who have worked with him. You've heard from his family. We'll take a quick break. When we return, there are some presentations that you would not want to miss. It's all happening right here from Studio 1 here at GBC House, and we'll take a quick break. We'll return shortly.
Good morning.
It's a good morning, and we serve you breakfast.
Not just any breakfast.
Sizzling helping. Welcome back to this program live on GTV and GBC News. Live from Studio 1 here in Accra, we are celebrating the 95th birthday of the first African Director of Television of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Professor Alex Quarmyne, a retired diplomat also with UNESCO. As we've gathered here, friends and family have come to honor him and for the work that he has done. And at this point, we'll call on a few people to make some presentations. First on our list, Mr. Martin Lowe, the former director of NAFTI, and George Peters, who is the GTV Pioneers Producers member, will make their presentation in honor of Professor Alex Quarmyne. Gentlemen, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. As we do, as the Director General, I want to congratulate you for this occasion. And, when I entered VH3 this afternoon, I was delighted. The environment changed, and I congratulate you. Keep it up.
Thank you.
And also, just a gentle reminder, those of us who have creaky bones, cannot move around a lot, and we find your clubhouse a very convenient place for us to meet. So I encourage your estate management people to take a closer look at it for us. In fact, when the MC was talking about publication, research, and things about Alex and his contribution, we do that. We've been having a lot of meetings here. A lot of students from all over this country come to meet us. And also from abroad, to talk about African cinema, television, and Ghana television, and NAFTI, we meet them. So that's actually a meeting place. So let them take a closer look at it for it and brush it up a little bit for us. And we'll be grateful, very grateful. And we'll continue to do the work that Alex has started. The light will continue to shine in Ghana, in Africa, and the whole world. That's the theme of the presentation plaque we are presenting to him. The light you lit at Ghana television will forever glow in Africa, in Ghana, Africa, and the world. Congratulations and happy birthday, Alex. It's presented to the three surviving pioneers of Ghana television, George Peters, myself, and Edward Fachi.
And just to add one more thing. I don't know why he refused to tell you. Today, too, is his birthday. Martin Lowe. Today, too, is the birthday, 29th May.
Yes.
It's the birthday.
Alex and I share the same birthday. Yes.
Myself, I do say that we are pretty special. A round of applause for all of us who celebrate our birthdays in May, eh? How about that? Next, the chairman of the NMC, Mr. Yao Buedu, would also make a presentation.
So where is
No, first is after this.
Okay. Normally they say monkeys play by sizes. And so it's not, I haven't gotten to the distance. I've not had very long association with you. Indeed, I have had engagement with Mrs. Quarmyne more than you. But I remember that 2 occasions. The first one was when we, together with Mr. Kofi Bedu, went to Kumasi towards the installation of Beremba Kwekudia as Otumfo. And I know that we sat down, myself, had the prayer of sitting together with you and him, just less than 1 hour before he was taken away and declared as the Asante elect. And I cherish that moment very much. The next time that I had interaction with you is when I called you. And I said, Prof, because of me, understand that you are going through political distress. And that was during the process of my appointment as the editor of the Daily Graphic. And there were some attempts to let the board not appoint at the time so that a new board would take over and whatever happens. But when I called you, you told me that, Yao, you are the best candidate and we are going to give you the appointment, and you give it to me. Thank you very much. So on behalf of the GBC,
You want to read it?
we give you this. What is it? So this is a plaque from the GBC in recognition of the invaluable role that you played, not only in establishing and setting up television, but even after television has been established, the contributions that you made, and even as you are retired, some of the innocuous contacts that people had made with you to ensure that we sustain the beginnings that you started and to make GBC as relevant as it was intended, and the vision that you foresaw that enabled you to do that. On behalf of GBC, I present you this plaque.
Thank you. This is the portrait.
And this is a portrait of you. This why you hang it on at the top there, that way people enter, that they will remember about you.
Thank you.
And then, where is it?
So after you decorating the
Yeah, it's just a case. So, yes.
So they say I should pin this. So I do so in the name of GBC as an honor. Hey, the shirt looks very thick.
Maybe you put it here, maybe?
Here.
Where there's no embroidery.
Okay. It's still, okay. Thank God, it's now gone. So, sorry. Oh.
Just push.
Yeah, it's screwed, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, I fear Gano. When I can see that shot.
That's lovely. He didn't even wait for the hip hip. But hey, we are still celebrating Professor Alex Quarmyne. Next, we'll have a toast to be proposed by renowned Pan-Africanist, cultural activist, journalist par excellence, Mr. Kojo Yanka, to propose a toast.
I am trying very hard to find out why I was nominated to propose the toast. 1963, 1966, I was a student, but I heard the name of Alex Quarmyne. When I had a chance to work at the Ministry of Information, first as a staff member of the Information Services Department, General, what's his name? The Minister for Information, Feli, had a story. I think he visited Zimbabwe and met Alex Quarmyne and came back with an idea that a young man had applied to do community radio station in Ghana. He didn't know much about community radio station, but that is a hidden story I'm revealing only today, because 20 years after 1995, Uncle Alex came back from Zimbabwe, UNESCO duties, and applied for community radio license. I happened, only by chance, to be Deputy Minister for Information, and that was the beginning of giving out frequencies at that time are for radio. And I happened to be the officer on duty, and I did what I could to assist Alex Quarmyne and his wife to obtain license for community radio. Since that time, I have known the struggles they have gone through to make community radio a very important part of development of the country. I am not satisfied, as well as I'm sure Uncle Alex and his wife, that we don't have community radio in every corner of the country, because they really bring the voice of the people. Now, I said all this because I was waiting for something to be put on the table. But I must confess that I benefited greatly from all the experiences that Professor Alex Quarmyne has had, you know, not only in GBC, but also through UNESCO, through the Philippines, America, and all, by inviting him to chair the first governing council of the African University College of Communications, which I'm proud to have founded in 2002. So I must say that I was a great beneficiary of all that he had done. But more important, if this venue was elsewhere on his birthday like this, and at 95, I was going to ask him to do us a favor to tell us the secret of his long life. But this is a studio put together by Professor Amin for a specific purpose. So I will not ask him. But let me say a big thank you, Professor Amin Larson, for organizing this. Few organizations remember their pioneers, and Ghana is grateful for this. For all the written and unwritten efforts that you made as a pioneer, Professor Alex Quarmyne, to get Ghana television on its feet, for all the inspiration you gave to the pioneering members of GBC, for the invaluable contribution you made through UNESCO, for a large number of people on the continent, professionals, who today have made great differences in their countries, for the professional impact that you've made on the large number of people we cannot count throughout the world. The values, the rich values you have shared with all the people that you've come across and have come across you. For the love that has made it possible to bring all these giants of the industry who are here today. It's not common to find these giants all meeting at the same place this day. For all this, Professor Alex Teye Quarmyne, and by extension to Wilna Quarmyne and your family, there is a little concoction here. And I'm saying concoction because it is not the kind of present you want on your birthday. So in proposing this toast, I would want assistants to open it. This is coming from my wife and I, and all the friends of Alex Quarmyne. This is symbolic. Mashed yam, organic, no sugar, symbolizes the beginning of a new life. This is to renew your 95. So we are starting all over again. And as for the eggs, the container could not do 95. But it means life in our system. What am I saying? On behalf of all of us, those who are here, those who are watching, we wish you long life, good health, and may your values continue to spread on all those you come across from today. There is so much that has been said here today that have not been written. But the function today has given the world a new look at Alex Teye Quarmyne, things that the whole world did not know. Thanking all those who put this together, thanking all the panelists, and if I had a glass of water, I would ask. We all have water? Okay, then let's all, water is life, you know. So if you were expecting something else, you'll probably be disappointed. So please hold your water. Let's wish Uncle Alex long life, good health, many more blessings, and may your values continue to spread. Cheers to the health of Alex Quarmyne. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Mr. Kojo Yanka. It's the first time in my life that I've seen eto, or as my native Ga people will say, oto, being used to propose a toast. So I've learned something new today, and water is life. The significance of oto in the life of any Ghanaian cannot be underestimated. Our true Pan-Africanist has explained it to us. Some people have some misgivings when they go with the traditional meal, but today we've been giving an added meaning, perhaps, to what you may not have already known. All this in celebration of one man, Professor Alex Quarmyne, live on GTV and GBC News. We'll take a quick break. When we return, there's one last... We right.
The Right to Information Act 2019, Act 989 is here. It is your fundamental right to access
TV live event.
Thank you for staying on as we celebrate a true icon of the Ghanaian soil, Professor Alex Quarmyne, the first African director of television of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, who turns 95 today. And what a happy birthday without a very merry cake. So, presenting from GBC and all the people who supported us to Professor Alex Quarmyne and his family and friends today, this is the birthday cake. From Audrey, explain to us what we are looking at here, because there are some people at home who have never seen this setup before. It's a historical machine.
The old television set right here. I'm wondering if every part is edible. Are we able to? Yes. This is yes, a Sanyo television. With
Happy birthday to you. Hip hip. Congratulations, Professor Quarmyne, on this very ripe old age of 95. Thank you so much for all your contributions. We'll have the cake whistled away so that all of us here can have a little sample bite at the end of the program. But it's only fair that as we honor a man, we give him the opportunity to drop some wisdom nuggets in our ears. Ladies and gentlemen, with a standing ovation, let's welcome comments from our celebrant for today, Professor Alex Quarmyne.
Well, it's okay, I'll sit down.
Move, lift.
Let's keep the applause rolling as Professor gets ready to share some thoughts with us. Please take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Quarmyne will speak to us now.
I wish I could. Okay, hold on. Okay. I wish I could stand up and speak, because I think that would be more in keeping with the feeling I have and what I would like to say. But unfortunately, standing up to speak will not be very easy for me. And fortunately, all the speakers we've had so far have been sitting down. So that gives me permission to sit and talk. I think I would like to say, first of all, thank you to the Director General and to GBC on the whole for the wonderful welcome that's been given to me today, following all the arrangements that had been made for the meeting we're having here today. Thank you very much for the welcome. As my wife will confirm, in the many countries we have been, and the many organizations we have worked with, we have had fantastic welcome. But the welcome we've been given here today, I think, has been really great. And I would like to say thank you again. Thank you for Director General, and thank you for GBC. Well, I should also take this opportunity to accept the auto, which we do not have very often. And we'd like to thank Uncle Kojo Yanka and his family for the auto, which I think we are all going to share today. So once again, I thank you. Thank you very much for everything so far. Okay, Uncle Kojo, thank you for the auto. Now, a lot has been said about me and what I have done. And in fact, I should actually say what I have tried to do, because all that is seen as what I have done successfully, first of all on Ghana television and also on community radio. It's all been possible because of the people who have worked with me and the people who have given me a lot of support, without which I would not have been able to do any of those things you are thanking me for. So the bigger thanks should have actually come from me to all of you. And the strangest of my thanks is my thanks to my wife, Wilna. It's most surprising that a person would be saying thank you to his own wife at a public function. But here it is not surprising, because it is thank you which I really need to say to my wife, even if it means my saying it in public. Because without her support, most of the things I'm seen as having done would have been very difficult to do. So thank you very much, Dwende. Thank you. Okay, now, Uncle Kojo, I think we'll ask, let's see now, we ask the director, we'll ask GBC to tell us how we are going to take care of the auto.
We'll get everybody plates, and we'll all take part when we've wrapped up the formal session of the program. A round of applause for Professor. Thank you all so much for making time to join us for this rather special celebration of our first director of television, an African who has blazed a trail in many, many spheres indeed. Allow me, before we go, to appreciate the presence of just a few of the many notable people among us today. Mr. Yabwedo Ayeboafo, chairman of the NMC, Mr. Nanajana Penton, former NMC chairman, Mr. Mike Egan, a former broadcaster, Madame Roberta Gardner, who is another former broadcaster and trainer. She's trained me as well. I hope I've made her proud. I'm looking forward to the words she's written down that I've mispronounced today. And I'm sure that she will share some kind thoughts with me. Thank you, Ms. Gardner, for being a part of our gathering today. Professor Deborah is board chair of the GBC. And of course, all the people who have graced the stage so far. Professor Audrey Gajekpo, former Dean of the School of Information and Communication Studies at the University of Ghana. And our speakers for this function who have remembered their boss, their colleague so fondly on this platform. Mr. Martin Lowe, former NAFTI director. Madame Samilia Kanj, who is a pioneer newscaster, the first newscaster to say on TV, "This is Ghana television." We all stand on her tall shoulders. Madame, thank you for your presence among us. Mr. Kwesi Gate Tego represented his father, Mr. David Tego, at the panel, and he shared some thoughts on community radio with us. Mr. Gate Tego, thank you. May your good father continue to rest in peace. And of course, prolific filmmaker, writer, and all-round great producer, Mr. Koansa. Thank you also for making time to be with us. The man who has sat in this chair before as Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation and a Professor of Journalism and Mass Communication, Professor Quarmyne Kakari. Thank you so much. And for every single one of you in the audience, you're all true rock stars, and we appreciate all of you. Of course, as we depart, let's share a word with Professor Alex Teye Quarmyne. It's been an honor, especially for me, this day to have moderated this encounter, sitting at your feet this afternoon with rapt attention. We have heard your story and its twists and turns. We thank the wonderful panel and your family for sharing this story with us. You are indeed a true inspiration, and GBC will continue to shine the light that you lit so vibrantly. Stay strong and keep shining. You are a treasure to us. May your life continue to be filled with purpose. Thank you for your impact. It's been a true honor. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for being a part of this program. We'll rise on the screen, but certainly the party is about to get way more lit on this side. There's a toy in the house and there's an amazing birthday cake. Who does not want to be a part of this? I'm sure you will. It's all in honor of one man. Remember, the first African director of television of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Professor Alex Teye Quarmyne.